A lot of Iranians love America and they see America as a role model, and they think, oh, like America had success with the right to bear arms, so we should like do that as well. Some Iranians suggest that obviously with the Islamic Republic, this experience shows that to protect democracy, we need to be armed. Some Iranians, the Iranians who are against it, they suggest that we need to focus on our central government having the highest amount of authority to bring security to the Iranian people. And that's why someone's mic is open. Someone's mic is open. Guys, close your mic. Oh, the highest and the central government would not be able to. They need to be for them to have authority at the beginning, at least. Maybe the Iranian people should not be armed, right? But I think this, as Goldie mentioned, this is a decision that should be up to the Iranian people. And the way that is up to the Iranian people is first through the constitution and then through the parliament, right? So what we're going to have in our constitution is going to be based on who Iranian people will pick as the founders, the council of in the count. We're gonna so there's four election. There's a couple of elections, right? First, we're going to have a referendum, and then in the referendum, for example, assuming that Iranian people are going to vote for the constitutional monarchy, after that we're going to have an election for the founding members of our constitution. They're going to be writing the constitution, and then after that we're going to vote for the members of parliament. And well, then they're going to write the constitution. We're going to vote on that whether we agree with it or not, and then we're going to vote to have a parliament. So with regards to right to have to be armed, we might allow that in the constitution, or the constitution could be flexible about that, and the laws written in the parliament will be able to decide whether we can be armed or not. If it's in the constitution, it's going to be harder to change. If it's in the parliament, it will be more flexible. It might make sense for the constitution to be flexible about this, and the parliament to allow or disallow it, so that if we change our mind, it will be easier for us to change it. This is something, but again, this is, I don't think, as Goldie mentioned, that there's a answer that we could have for it right now. I think the democratic process that we will have after Iran is free, whatever the result of that is the right answer, right? So a lot of people talk about the right to be armed, but we also shouldn't forget the right to determine your own destiny. So if the Iranian people for some reason decide that maybe at least at the beginning of a free Iran, maybe at the beginning we shouldn't have that, well, then the Iranian people also have the right to decide their own laws. So that limitation, it has been decided by the Iranian people. That limitation hasn't been forced upon the Iranian people. That's a limitation that the Iranian people decided that maybe at first they need to have before we maybe later we will change it. Anyway, sorry that took so long. I want more people to be able to get a chance to speak, so I will try to give the shorter answers.
Okay, next we have Kashayar. Sorry, that's probably not correct.
That's good. Khashayar.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Hi.
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah, so my second time being able to talk to Armin, and hi Goldie, big time follower since prior to even this whole Iran revolution thing. My biggest thing is I was at the Toronto protest, I was at a whole bunch of different things, and now it was, going there, it's bittersweet because right now the constant divide even within families, like I learned a lot about how Mossadegh and all that other stuff, and when the Shah turned around and said stuff like, the idea behind a coup doesn't go from top down, it goes from bottom up. And then I found out recently that even my grandparents, and I think I spoke to you guys before, my grandfather was in the Shah's army. He was a commander in the Navy and the Army himself. So prior to the revolution, I left similar to Goldie, and I landed in Canada in about 87. We fled because under Sharia they wanted to wipe out bloodlines, not swearing allegiance to the new revolution or whatever. But that being said, now I'm finding it difficult. So how would you guys say you want to navigate even within your own like circles where people are so anti this government, but at the same time turning around, there were such like pro Mossadegh guys, but they don't even know who they are. Like it's hard to explain to people that Mossadegh wasn't this like savior of the Iranian people, that he consolidated power, that he did a whole bunch of nasty things, and that's why the Shah came in prior to that, because of the 1906 constitution that he had instilled. When you dissolve government, he has the right to remove. He was not elected, he was appointed. But like fighting amongst these people is just driving me crazy. Like it's like the energy should be better spent somewhere else. But how would you guys go about discussing it with people that are slightly more sensitive, like trying to make them see rather than trying to, like when you have to tiptoe around family and friends?
What I would say to that is just ask them who was the prime minister before Mossadegh and who was the prime minister after Mossadegh. And then also ask them what year did Shahanshah Aryamir ascend the throne? Because I'm on mute, sorry. I'm on mute on my end. No. In the discussion group I'm fine. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. On YouTube I was muted. Okay, I'm back. I'll go from the beginning. So to respond to your question, I would answer by saying ask those people who are trying to defend or promote Mossadegh, who was the prime minister before Mossadegh, and you can actually just ask them to Wikipedia it, right? Like just, if you search for, like if you Google list of Iranian prime ministers, a Wikipedia list will come up and you'll see all the prime ministers starting from 1906. That's one way to debunk it. And then the other thing as well is just ask what year did the Shah of Iran, the previous Shah of Iran, ascend to the throne? He didn't ascend the throne in 1953. He ascended the throne in 1941, I believe. So those two facts alone, regardless of what may or may not have happened during 1953, those two facts in and of itself will go very hard to dispelling the narrative. Of course, the whole Mossadegh narrative is basically communist propaganda that's now been promoted by the Islamists. So it's one of the biggest I would say that the whole Mossadegh narrative is one of the most successful examples of communist propaganda. However, it's pretty much been debunked at this point, and thankfully when you look at the media, no one's talking about it anymore, because the only people who support and promote Mossadegh are like the MEK and others, because Mossadegh was funded and supported by the Tudeh party, and the Tudeh party of course was created by the Soviet Union because they wanted to bring Iran under the Iron Curtain at that time. There's actually a really good documentary about it that I've uploaded to YouTube. More than happy to send you the link, and you could watch that, and that'll give you a lot of good info on
Yeah, that would be great.
Mossadegh.
I mean, like it's that, and I find that the other end of it too is not just when it's on the simple thing of the narrative going against, like, okay, people that you have to be more sensitive. But I remember right after the protests, and I watch you guys a lot, so I repost a lot of your content on Twitter and stuff. And this guy from LA is like, "Ugh, the whole population of Iranians in Canada was only like 200,000. So you're telling me that double the population of Iranians came in and they went to Toronto?" And I'm just like, dude, you're Iranian. You're obviously an MEK. So, and then finally I got him to admit it. And he's like, well, the MEK wasn't bad. That's all just propaganda. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, this is just like widely known. And like, now you're just being willfully stupid. And you were obviously born in LA. I was born in Iran. I know what's going on. And I'm not saying that one's better than the other, but if you're being that willfully dumb, what do you like? How do you just, it frustrates me to no end. You know what I mean? And watching you with Dave Smith and Elika and Armin, you should definitely go on, because I think that would be hilarious for you to just shut up. Even Dave Smith, forget about Chank and that chunky yogurt douche. But like, I'm talking about like it's just unbearable. I tried to watch it with my mom. My mom was sitting there just beating her head against the wall yesterday, going, "Who is this animal? And then where is he from?" And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Mama," and like he's Turkish. And then she's like, "Oh, those Turks." And then like
Hey,
you look
no,
at
no,
like yeah, like these
no offense to
Erdogan and
Turks.
all these other, everybody knows this. And if you speak to any Iranian out there, you know that none of those Gulf countries want to see Iran free, because they immediately lose everything. They lose tourism, they lose oil, they lose all
Okay,
sorts of
Kasha, shorter
profitabilities.
because there are other people on
Sorry,
the
sorry,
list, and
sorry.
that's the thing.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so that, and I still want to reiterate the last time I said it, Goldie and Armin, one of you need to make a shirt saying Nun Khamenei smashed with a Nun Khamenei on it. That needs to happen, and I'll be the first
Okay.
purchaser of that. But Javid Shah. There you go, guys.
Javid Shah. I would
Javisha,
say, you know what, Khashayar, fantastic name, by the way, Khashayar. Guys, so Khashayar in English, that's Xerxes. Amazing name, amazing name.
I have a question in here.
Wait, let me
But
kick.
I just want to
Let
say
me gonna
really
kick this.
quickly, Khashayar,
Sorry, kick this person.
don't feed the trolls. Don't feed the trolls. The small accounts, don't argue with them. Just block and move on, right? Don't even bother because they're irrelevant to what's happening.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys, I'm not going to answer because I know more. I'm going to let more people talk to Goldie. Just, guys, when Goldie is responding to you, please close your mic because there's going to be, if you don't close your mic, we're going to be hearing some echo. Okay, so who's next?
Beautiful. Next, we have Nina.
Hello, my name is Nina. I live in Sweden, but I was born in Iran. So I want to thank you, both Goldie and Armin, and all of you. I've been looking at these broadcasting things for weeks now, like many people. So my question is, Javid Shah and I'm Israel Chai, and thank you, US and Canada, and all we all in this together. My question is, when the regime has fallen, because it will fall, how will we manage the oppressed people? I'm not saying that they're not smart or they're not, developed in their brains, but how will we softly, softly learn and teach them how to cope with the freedom without hurting themselves? Yeah, anyone can answer. Thank you.
I don't think we need to teach Iranian people anything about freedom. I think the Iranian people would be the teachers when it comes to freedom. I think the Iranian people are, if you look at the level of maturity and the level of political awareness that they have, I think the rest, when it comes to lessons about freedom, there is the rest of the world who need to be taking notes. That's my perspective. But what do you think, Goldie?
I mean, I think a lot of people make the mistake of assuming that Iran is like some backwards third world country, and that's not the case whatsoever. I don't think we need to worry about how Iranians are going to deal with freedom because we were literally free 47 years ago. That's not going to be an issue. Iran is a very different culture, very different mindset than the other, countries in that region. So I would just say like don't confuse us with I don't know, Pakistan or Iraq or, things like that. Like we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We had a proper country. We're actually the oldest country in the world and we invented the concept of human rights and freedom of religion. So we'll be fine.
Goldie, I thank you. I know all of this because I'm born in Iran as well. But I was just thinking about how it was when the Nazis were and the Jewish people were in the concentration camps and they were released and they will have to be firm with them about food, everything, because they lost their ways under the oppression.
Well, I mean, we don't have concentration camps in Iran because everyone in Iran is occupied by the regime. So Iranians are still oppressed, but it's not like a concentration camp. So I don't think it would be fair to compare. If you're referring to the PTSD, like the mental health issues that Iranians have, well, I mean, that's something that we're just going to have to deal with. But we're very strong people. We're a very strong nation, and we've survived for thousands of years. And just given the fact that even now, despite the fact that the regime has tried to murder 90,000 of us, and we're still fighting, and we're moving forward. I think the future of Iran is going to be very bright, and I think if you are like a psychologist or like a therapist, I think you're going to have a very lucrative future in Iran when it's free.
Right. Yeah. So when it comes to the Holocaust, I mean, who are the Iranian people are being compared to? Because if we're being compared to the Jews, the Jewish people didn't lose their way because of the Holocaust. They found their way. If we're being compared to the Germans, well, the Iranian people are not doing anything, like they're not doing the oppressing. The Islamic Republic is doing their oppressing. The Iranian people are the victims. So in Nazi Germany, the Jews didn't lose their way. We're the victims, and just like the Jews were the victims. And in fact, through that struggle, they found their way. and actually true struggle and hardship. You actually become more aware, and you become more appreciative of freedom, and you learn to understand the value of freedom more than most people who are born in it. I mean, if we're being compared to Germans, that is not a fair comparison, because the Germans didn't really as much. They didn't fight against the Nazis when the Nazis were in power, but the Iranian people are fighting against their oppressors. So again, if we're being compared to the Jews, then the Jewish people did not lose their way. They didn't need to be re-educated regarding their ancient values. They kept it, and they managed to actually, as soon as they had their country back, they flourished. So, and this is the same thing with the Iranian people. But anyways,
Thank you, both of
thank you, Nina.
Okay, next we have Leonard.
Hey, how you doing? First time I was here, I noted that the Revolution live stream benefits from having both Goldie and Armin as they complement each other. My question is for Goldie. What's bothering me with these debates with Piers Morgan? I mean, I sort of get what Pierce is doing. He's showing both opinions. He's sort of on the fence, not rooting for any side, so to speak. But mainly it's generating views through, I don't know, rage clicks. So what's bothering me is the lack of proper disclosure when debating, right? So for Goldie, proper disclosure would be very easy. I'm Iranian. I live in Canada. My hands are clean. You know, I'm not speaking for. I'm not claiming to speak for the Iranian people, right? But I'm giving an opinion that is heard in the Iranian streets. And on the other hand, Chunky is a Turk living in USA, Muslim Brotherhood plant wannabe, whatever. And this is shown by the fact that his group is called the Young Turks, right? He's calling himself Turk before he's calling himself American.
Leonard, get to the question part sooner if you can.
The question
Sorry,
is like,
because there's
why is it not possible to call a spade and say, look, this is my proper disclosure. I'm Iranian, I'm Canadian, and it's impossible for me to have a good faith debate with someone like Chunky, who is a bad actor, for lack of.
All I can say is that the Pierce Morgan show is, the Pierce Morgan show is basically done for views and clicks. And so I don't go to Pierce Morgan's show to debate Chunky Yogurt because like I'm not going to convince him, like he's not going to come on our side. I go to the Pierce Morgan show because that's a huge platform and it gives me an opportunity to speak the truth. So I go there to speak the truth and to share the reality of what's going on, regardless of what Chunky Yogurt says or does. And that's why yesterday, I made it very clear that I'm not going to respond to or legitimize the arguments of someone who is being promoted by the Islamic regime on Islamic regime state TV. So that was also an opportunity for me to call out Chunky Yogurt and to basically tell everyone who's watching that the Islamic regime broadcasts and plays Chunky Yogurt's commentary. Sometimes it's not about convincing the other person. Sometimes it's about convincing the listeners, the viewers, right? So that's why I go and speak on Pierce Morgan's show. And I'm actually very grateful to Pierce Morgan for giving me the opportunity and giving me the platform to speak. So I have a lot of time for Pierce Morgan. I know people criticize him a lot, but the fact that he is using his platform to, give me a voice, I'm very grateful to him for that. So, I would say the best thing here is like never look at what other people are doing. Just look at like how you can contribute and how you can raise awareness. And so the opportunity to raise awareness about Iran on Pierce Morgan's platform is fantastic. And I'll always accept an invitation from Pierce.
Thank you.
all right.
Okay, next we have Danny.
Hello. So, first of all, I want to thank you, Goldie, for so much as existing on the same planet as me. And I wanted to ask for some tips from an Iranian lioness about debates. So I saw on Pierce Morgan's show that the token Jew tried to interrupt Elika, and she basically, I don't know, uttered some magic incantation and turned him into a pouty kindergartner. And I've seen you practice similar dark magics when you somehow say you will not interrupt me, and it magically compels people to not interrupt you. So I was hoping to get into this type of witchcraft myself, and I wanted to ask you for some tips.
I appreciate the joke. It's not witchcraft, it's self-confidence. So for example, the first time around when Chunky Yogurt was interrupting me, I didn't yell, I didn't raise my voice. All I said was, please keep your mouth shut until I'm done speaking. And then I just stopped. I stopped talking. I didn't engage. I just let him rant on. And then because I wasn't engaging with him, that's when Pierce Morgan said to Chunky Yogurt, maybe you should, keep your mouth shut. And again, this time around, the same thing happened because again, when he tried to engage with me the first time, I basically called him out. And then when he started yelling at me, I just smiled and I just drank my coffee. And that was it. I didn't engage. And so he recognized and understood that I'm not going to play his games. So, a lot of that has to do with confidence. A lot of that has to do with practice as well. Keep in mind, I was an elected official for 7 years. I was in politics for 10 years. I did a lot of political debates. I did a lot of, debates in the Ontario legislature, in the media, during the election. So, it's something that I've had a lot of practice with for a very, very long time. So there's no magic to it. It's just practice. It's self-confidence. I've also had professional media training as well as part of my political career. So that's why these random people, like I'm all casual on Iran Revolution Live, but when I have my game face on, it's a totally different, scenario there.
Well, thank you, and much love from Toronto.
Okay, next we have a question from the chat. The question is for both of you. Israeli Update with Gadi Taub and Mike Doran. In one of their last shows, Mike said that he fears Persian nationalism. What do you make of this? He is known to be a friend of Azeris and Turks.
Goldie, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I mean, I think that's a very racist thing for him to say because there's no such thing as Persian nationalism. It's Iranian nationalism. And as someone, I'm actually not Persian. I'm Lor Bakhtiari. So I always find it very offensive when non-Iranians speak about like Persian nationalism. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Right? These people who speak about like again, this goes back to the whole separatist narrative, right? The separatist narrative of, oh, like all these groups are oppressed, right? And everyone speaks about the separatists who are outside of Iran. But you know why? You know why none of the separatists ever speak about the Lors? Because there are no Lors outside of Iran, because we're such a small minority that we only exist within the borders of Iran. So to anyone who says they're worried about Persian nationalism, no, you're actually trying to attack Iranian nationalism because regardless of our ethnicity or whatever, we're Iranian first. And quite frankly, I find it incredibly racist that people try to divide us amongst, Persian or not Persian, when we Iranians within our own culture and society, we don't care if someone's Persian, Lord, Turk, Azeri, whatever, right? Like it's actually very rude. It's very rude in Persian, sorry, in Iranian society to comment on someone's like, which part of the country they're from. So yeah, like as a Lor Bakhtiari, I would tell that person that he needs to keep his mouth shut and not speak on behalf of Iranians.
Yeah. Yep. Ask them, where is this Persian nationalism that they're speaking of? Like, who is doing that? Where are you seeing Iranians? Like, are you seeing any Iranians going out and saying Persia, Persia, farce, 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 farce? Like, what? How? Like, point that to us, because it doesn't exist. This is Iranian nationalism, and we're all of us Iranians are united over this. And also, the claim, challenge their claim that they're pro-Azeri. I don't know which Azeris they're speaking of, because they're anti-Iranian Azeris, because the Iranian Azeris are nationalists, they're patriotic, and they're united with the rest of Iranians when it comes to their national unity. So even the claim that they're pro-Azeri is nonsense, because the Iranian Azeris will be the first to dismiss them and call them out as the enemies of Iran, and therefore the enemies of Iranian Azeris. So no, these people are not pro-Azeri, at least not Iranian Azeris.
I get really, really pissed off when people try to demonize Persians, right? Because Persians are no different than the rest of us. And this anti-Persian racism that's coming from the separatists, it's incredibly offensive to me, right? Because as Iranians, we're Iranian first. So if you come after one of us, you come after all of us, which is why I have zero tolerance for like, Persian racism. Like I zero tolerance for that, right? I'm actually pretty sure, like I don't know, like a quarter or maybe even half Persian. I don't know, but because we're so intermingled, right? Like we have been a nation, we have been an Iranian nation for 3,000 years. So we're already so intermingled that like we're all Iranian. And so yeah, like this anti-Persian racism needs to stop. It's very, very inappropriate. And I personally take very great offense to anyone who's attacking Persians.
Okay, Armin, yes, all is good. Next, we have Ali.
Hi, Goldie. Thank you for coming today. Thank you both, Armin and Goldie, for all that you've done, which has been a tremendous amount. I've watched your stream since the beginning. Really appreciate it. As a politician, how rare is it for someone like Shahzada Reza Pahlavi to be stating his points for 47 years, not be caught up in any scandals, and to consistently be on the right side of debates? Do politicians act the same on and off camera like he does with such a noble personality?
So, former politician. And I would say the reason that His Royal Highness King Reza Pahlavi, acts the way that he does is because he's not a politician, right? He's not a politician. He's a leader. He's a shah. And shahs and leaders are above politics. That's why he doesn't get involved in politics. That's why his message has always been the same. In terms of like politicians themselves, yeah, like in my personal experience, yes, I've seen many politicians who act one way in private and then another way in public. The reason that His Royal Highness has always said the same things for the last 47 years, he's had the plan. And the reason that everyone trusts him is because, again, he's a shah, he's not a politician, two totally different things. I hope that makes sense. Like he's above politics.
Okay, next we have a question from Jewish Samantha. She says, first, please tell Goldie she is my absolute hero. Her speech about anti Semitism in Parliament after October 7th made me feel a little less alone. Two questions. The first, I want to know if there is any way she can organize her politician shame list, perhaps alphabetically by name, so as to get it easier to find people, I think is the first question.
I'm hoping that at some point, like someone will actually like take this politician shame list and maybe turn it into a website or something for reference. I don't have the capability to do that, but the data is there. So if anyone wants to do that, more than welcome to. But I'll make a note here to organize it alphabetically. Okay.
And second, I made a list with links of organizations who made actions, such as calling senators, to try and stop the US from helping the Iranian people. Does she want me to do anything with this?
I mean, I would say you maybe send that. I mean, add the info to the politician shameless then, right? Or are these groups or organizations?
They're groups, they're not
It's
individual people.
Groups. I mean, I guess I would say reach out to an organization called Act for Iran. Reach out to them and share the information with them and let them know like these are, keep track of these groups and keep an eye on them because like that's more sort of internal American politics and policy, which, as a Canadian, I can't get involved, but there are groups. So I would say reach out to Act for Iran for sure.
Thank you. Okay, next we have another question from the chat. How does Goldie feel about America's hockey win?
Congrats, guys. Congrats. Well deserved, well earned.
Okay, next we have Ramteen.
Ramteen, guys, be ready to open your mic whenever
Yes,
if
can you
you're
hear?
on the list. Yep.
Hi guys, good morning. Gold, it's nice to finally meet you too, Goldie. I'm Project Vendetta. I made one of the Revolution songs you play. I've been following you and Armin during all of this, and I really appreciate the space you create for these discussions. I've got a few related questions built into one, mainly about Iran's past and future. There seems to be a lot of disagreement around the Shah. Some people say he was a dictator, while others say people were happier and Iran was more stable under his rule. So, how should people understand that period in a balanced way? And looking forward, what realistic chance do you think there is of regime change? And what concrete safeguards would ensure Iran remains stable afterward, including how divisions amongst Iranians with very different political views would be handled? And what would happen with groups like MEK, IRGC supporters, or others so the country stays united after any transition?
Armin, do you want to take that one first?
Okay, regards to the dictator, first of all, that is so unfair regarding Mohammad Reza Shah, because Mohammad Reza Shah was obsessed with getting Iran to be democratic. Democracy is a spectrum, it's not binary, and it's not something that you could achieve overnight. And if Mohammad Reza Shah, like when he came into power, Iran was still under lord and serfdom model. We still had lords and serfs. So Muhammad Reza Shah took us out of feudalism with his white revolution. So it's so insane for people to say, like, why didn't we have absolute democracy? Like, they were like, people were expecting Muhammad Reza Shah to go through 1,000 years of the history of Europe in just one generation, and just over like a 20-year span. Like, that is an unreasonable expectation. And if you look at everything Mohammad Reza Shah did, he was obsessed with getting us to there. And in fact, if there's any criticism, the criticism, a more valid criticism might be, and I say might be, that he was too much in a rush to get us there, right? I mean, Iran was one of it gave the women the right to vote ahead of many European countries. Mohammad Reza Shah is the person who forgave the person who shot him, trying to kill him. Mohammad Reza Shah is the person who constantly be calling Savak, the intelligence agency, fighting with them, trying to release different political prisoners. Mohammad Reza Shah is the person who was obsessed with making sure that there is no physical torture anywhere in Iran. And he was obsessed with trying to make sure that that does not happen in Iran. Mohammad Reza Shah is a person who asked Savak to come up with a report to see what would happen if we all of a sudden have completely free elections in Iran. And Savak gave him a report showing that the commies will win and the Soviets will basically be able to come and take a huge portions of Iran. And he got angry with his own intelligence agency, saying that you guys just want to make a dictator out of me. Mohammad Reza Shah was the person that eventually said that maybe like getting to that complete democratic model will not happen in his time, and hopefully will happen in his son's time. And he was focusing on improving the culture and education of Iran, which is arguably the foundations that you need in a country to get to democracy. So that's what I have to say regarding dictatorship. When it comes to all the other metrics, every single metric that you put your hand on, Iran did not just improve during the Pahlavi era, but improved in such a degree that it looked like a miracle. This is why Iranian people say Pahlavi did not rule. Pahlavi, they say Pahlavi hukumat nakard. Pahlavi mu'jize kard. This is a common saying among Iranians, which means Pahlavi did not rule. Pahlavi did miracles, right? And again, when you say there's a lot of disagreements, there's not a lot of disagreements among Iranian people. The disagreement is mostly among foreigners, but Iranian people are more united than ever when it comes to Pahlavi. But Goldie, go on.
Just a quick note on that as well, Ramteen. There's an excellent documentary from 1974, and the documentary is called The Heirs of Cyrus the Great. It's publicly available on YouTube. I've played it on my channel several times, gone over the commentary. So I would highly encourage you to go and watch that documentary, The Heirs of Cyrus the Great, from 1974. And you will see that the only people who called the Shah a dictator were the Islamists and the communists. The Islamists called the Shah a dictator because in 1963, the Shah of Iran gave women the right to vote, and the clergy, the Muslim clergy, said that this was problematic because, according to Islam, women should not have the right to vote. The Shah of Iran also banned child marriage, which of course in Islam, that, children can get married. Because the Shah of Iran made education mandatory, not just for boys, but for girls, and he banned marriage up until the age of 18, the Muslim clergy accused him of being a dictator because he didn't respect their religion. With respect to communism was banned because during the 1960s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, Iran bordered the Soviet Union. And so Iran was in a Cold War situation. And many of those communist political groups that were present in Iran were being funded and trained by Moscow. So the Shah of Iran, rightfully so, banned communism. Unfortunately, history belongs to the victors. And so when the Muslims, like when the Islamists and the communists were successful in overtaking Iran, that's when all this historical revisionism started. But I would highly encourage you to go watch that documentary, the Children of Cyrus the Great. It will explain a lot about who the Shah really was and what he was achieving during that time.
Thank you very much. That's actually really helpful. It was a pleasure meeting
No,
you too.
so
Also, I
yeah,
love your
thank
song.
you,
I
Ramtin.
love your song. Thank you for the song. It's fantastic. It's one of the hit
It,
songs in our intro. So really appreciate that.
thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Ramtin.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, guys, and thank you so much for that song, Ramtin. Really is one of our favorites. Just guys, remember when Goldie's speaking, please close your mic. Okay, so thank you. Who's next?
Okay, next we have Iron Shogun.
Hello there. Hold on. Can you guys hear me now? All right.
Yes, and try to keep your questions get to the point.
So very quickly, I just want to share a quick story, right? Because this is a very common, jihadi Islamist talking point. So really quickly, I'm going to share you this story from Israel, and it's about ISIS. So basically, it says here, on March 27th, 2022, there was a mass shooting. There was a terrorist attack in northern Israel, in the city of Hadera, where there were 2 ISIS terrorists who actually shot and killed 2 Israeli police officers. And there's a very common talking point saying that ISIS was actually a terrorist group that was set up by Israel against the Islamic regime. And my question is, I just wanted to know, has anyone ever told you that ISIS was that has anyone told you that ISIS was set up by Israel?
Yeah, I mean, by Jew hating anti-Semites, yes, all the time we hear that Israel did ISIS, Israel did Al Qaeda, Israel did 9/11, Israel stole my shoe, Israel is the reason why I couldn't find my keys. Israel is I mean, yeah, of course. Has there? I haven't. Israel is responsible for bad weather. Israel, I haven't. I can honestly say there's not a single bad thing that happens in the world that the Jews have not been blamed for it. But what's the point? Who cares? Who cares what Jew haters say? Yeah. All right. So yes, I've heard. That's the answer. All right. Let's move. Unless Gordon wants to add anything to that. Okay. Let's go to the next, I guess.
Thank you. Next we have Junior. Okay, next we have John Stewart. John Stewart, are you with us?
Okay. John 1. Oh, there we go. I have no idea. Is someone speaking? All right. Let's move on then.
Okay, we have.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Guys, if you don't use your opportunity to speak, then we're going to move on fast to the next person. So be ready when it's your turn.
Okay, let's. KK Panya, why don't you try again? You'll have to unmute yourself on your end, but you should be allowed now.
All right, just 1, 2. Let's just move on.
Okay, Soraya.
Do you guys hear audio? Because I'm not hearing anything. Okay.
Okay, next we have, oh, go ahead.
There you go. Go ahead.
Hi, I wanted
Soraya?
to say thank you to you, Armin, for everything that you're doing.
All right, Soraya, your audio quality is very low, so we can't understand what you're saying. So we have to move on. Sorry, because we couldn't understand what you're saying. All right. Hopefully the
KK
next person.
Panya, why don't you try one more time?
All right. Let's move on then.
Jeffrey.
Hey, Goldie, nice to see you. Great to have you here. As you know, the battle of the narratives is crucial regarding overall efforts to liberate Iran from the mullah regime that's illegally occupied Iran since 1979. Indeed, you and Armin do such a good job of being combatant commanders in the battle of the narratives. Concurrently, the mullah regime has ramped up its disinformation campaign to undermine perceptions of legitimacy of His Highness Prince Reza Pahlavi within the broader goal of rolling national will regarding critical efforts like the moves to have His Highness Prince Reza Pahlavi officially recognized as the head of the transition government in exile. So, given the significance of the battle of the narratives, I have 3 quick questions. 1, what are the key common thematic elements you see being leveraged by the mullah regime's soft power proxies? 2, how effective has been pre-bunking lines of disinformation, specifically the Red-Green Alliance's attempt at revisionistic history to morally flatten the Shah versus the Red-Black Alliance? And 3, what specific lines of effort can members of the broader diaspora that supports Iranian resistance play in anchoring the news cycle, as well as minimizing issue fatigue and amplifying Iranian resistance's inside Iran's message of their support for His Highness Prince Reza Pahlavi?
Well, thank you so much for the questions. Let's go through them one by one. So could you please repeat the first question?
Sure thing. So question number 1 is, what are the key and or common thematic elements you and or Armin have seen being leveraged by the mullah regime's soft power proxy? So think chunky yogurt, think members of the Red Green
Yeah.
Alliance.
So the key like things that they put out is, oh, the Shah, he's like an Israeli puppet or an American puppet. He has no legitimacy. No one supports him. That's already been completely disproven. And unfortunately, we Iranians, we had to disprove that narrative with the blood of our people. Over 90,000 Iranians have been murdered, and I think that's why in the Pierce Morgan episode yesterday, Chunky Yogurt didn't even go after the Shah anymore. Whereas a month ago, he was trying to attack the Shah, accuse him of being an Israeli puppet or whatever. So yesterday, he didn't even mention King Reza Pahlavi because he knows that argument is done. So that's already done. And whatever narrative that the Islamic regime has tried to throw against the Shah of Iran has been destroyed. And one of the very good indications of that as well is I would refer you to the Munich conference with Christiane Amanpour and how she tried to attack the Shah of Iran. That didn't work. And then afterwards, when Senator Lindsey Graham came on, Senator Lindsey Graham, even though he was with a bunch of leftists and the leftists were talking, Senator Lindsey Graham was even like looking at them. So, like, the United States is already. And then on top of that, there was also Steve Witkoff, which I spoke about this in the live stream a few days ago. And I said the fact that Steve Witkoff is now coming out and saying that President Trump wanted him to confirm that the United States administration have met with King Reza Pahlavi, that in and of itself is indication that everyone already knows who the legitimate transitional leader is. So there is literally nothing that the Islamic regime or their supporters can say or do at this point to attack the legitimacy of the king. They will try, they will continue to try, but it's pointless at this point. So that's my answer to the first question.
So I'm going to move on to the third one. What specific lines of effort can members of the broader diaspora that supports Iranian resistance play in both anchoring the news cycle so we can minimize issue fatigue and, more importantly, to the point you mentioned, amplify Iranian resistance inside Iran's messages of their support for His Highness? I guess I call him King Reza Pahlavi now. I usually call him Prince, so I don't know if I should call him King or Prince.
That's
You
fine.
know,
Some people call him Prince, some people call him King. Totally
I
up.
would.
Prince is completely fine. Armin calls him the Prince. I call him the King. That's, it's freedom of speech. So I would say calling him the Prince is perfectly fine. So to answer your question, the best way to support and amplify would be to make sure that you're following his accounts on X and Instagram, not just his main account, but also the comms account. And then, one of the best ways to support is to, share, retweet, repost everything that he posts, not just on his main account, but also the comms account, because the comms account has a lot of extra additional information. And then also, just writing to your elected officials and asking them to come out and support the legitimacy of the transitional government and declare that the Islamic regime is an illegitimate government as well. I don't know, Armin, if you have anything you'd like to add to that.
That was just so perfect. I'm not going to add anything to it. I'm just going to allow more
You're
people
just
to
saying that
contribute.
because you're enjoying having a break here and you're making me talk all the time now. I see what's going on, Armin.
Yeah. well, let me know if you want to take a break. I could
No,
just
not
handle
at
the
all. No,
rest.
listen, I'm enjoying this. This is not
Okay.
tiresome for me. Like I could talk about
Okay.
Iran all day long. So I'm actually really
Okay.
enjoying. You know what? Maybe I'll just have to like take over your discussion group and I'll just claim it for myself. Who knows, right?
I,
Just
I'm
saying.
pretty sure I'm pretty sure everybody loves that idea here. So I don't know. Please do. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Goldie, if you come more often next time, like we'll let you just sit there and relax, and we'll tell people only to ask her question when she says that she's available for questioning. Like
So
if you want, if you some,
maybe what we
yeah.
can do, Armin, because we're
Mm.
collaborating and everything. Why don't we do like a little bit of a give or take? So why don't we figure out a time where maybe like on a Saturday or a Sunday, you don't do your discussion group because we just want to go through the news, and then in return,
Okay.
I'll have like a scheduled day, let's say like once a week, where I come and join the discussion group. How about that?
Perfect,
Teamwork.
amazing, love that
Teamwork.
deal. Oh my god,
All
yes,
right,
okay, fantastic.
let's do that.
Oh my god, that's the best deal ever. Okay. Oh my god. All right, people, everyone is here is happy. Okay, who's next?
Okay, we have Cat Lady up next.
Okay, can you hear me? Because I'm not sure. Okay, good. So first of all, Goldie, I love you, and I'm sure you hear that all the time that you have such a Jewish name. I was absolutely not even considering that you're not Jewish. Like Goldie, who calls themselves like I have a sister, Goldie. It's like
Honestly, it's a nickname. Like people just started calling me Goldie when I was 13 because my real name is Golsa. But in high school, like people just started calling me Goldie and it just stuck. So that's just been my nickname this entire time. It has nothing to do with like anything. But what's really weird is that now, like all these like crazy Jewish conspiracy theorists, they're like, oh, she must be Mossad because her name is Goldie. And meanwhile, it's like, no, it's literally just my high school friends started calling me Goldie and it just stuck.
that's funny. Well,
Yeah.
the full name is Golda in Hebrew, but yeah, wow, that's great. Does it have any meaning? I'm sorry for like this.
Golsa, so Golsa means like a flower. Although I tell my parents they should have named me Kharsa because I'm more like a thorn in the side of the Islamic regime.
Love it. And okay, my point was just when I started listening, I heard you talked about Gadi Taub, maybe talking about Persian nationalism. I want to make sure one point if I didn't understood. Is it Gadi Taub or Mike Duran, which is an American Christian? Who said it? I just want to know.
I can't answer. I don't know who brought up that question.
Oh, it was a question. I didn't understand it. So, oh, okay. So never
Okay, okay.
mind. That's it.
All right.
Thank you. That's what I wanted.
Thank you. By the way, for people who want to raise their hand, if you're new here, there's a smiley button at the bottom of your screen, and if you click on that, then you could just raise your by clicking on it, like raise your hand like this. That's how you get added to the list. Okay.
Also, in regard to the hand raising button, we cut that off in about 23 minutes, give or take. That way we have enough time to get through the full list. So get your hand up if you need to do so, and that way I don't have to cut it off later. Next, we have a question from the chat. As a Pakistani, I'm interested to know, do you know the Shah of Iran, Reza Pahlavi, at one point proposed a joint currency agreement between Pakistan and Iran? When Iran is free, do you see any room for collaboration between a free Iran and Pakistan?
Sorry, I didn't know I was muted. Honestly, I did not know about that, and that if that is true, thank you for educating me on this. I'm gonna go look into that. So that is very interesting. Thank you for letting me know. No, I did not know. But regards to the future, I really do think that a free, secular, democratic Iran is going to be a major positive influence to all countries in the region. I do think that obviously Princess of Pahlavi, his focus and his team's focus is to try to maintain a positive relationship with all the countries in the region. It's going to be difficult with Afghanistan, with the Taliban. And I think we might have some conflict with the Taliban, which is a challenge that we have to deal with. With Pakistan, there's a challenge and there's an opportunity here, right? Because the main challenge with Pakistan in the future is going to be the terrorist groups inside Pakistan, right? Especially Islamic and separatist groups that will try to come and attack Iran and then go back to Pakistan as a place to basically be safe from the attack of the Iran's army at that time. So there's an opportunity to collaborate with the Pakistani government to secure the Iran Pakistan border. So, and there's a challenge because if the collaboration is not successful and the Iran might have the future Iranian government might be concerned regarding Pakistan's government not being able to do enough to maintain stability across the border of Pakistan and Iran, because Pakistan's government, like a lot of people say, Pakistan is moving closer and closer to a failed state, and there's so many different terrorist groups and separatist groups who are basically not being responded to by the army in Pakistan as much as they should be. So usually sometimes you're going to have a challenge between in relationships when one country is a source of tension in another country and the government of that country is not able to or willing to do what is needed to provide that security. However, so that's something that we need to be managing in the future. But I think there's a lot of opportunity here. I have been in touch with a lot of secular activists in Pakistan, and I know a lot of them are fighting even a bigger obstacle sometimes than the Iranian people, because for the Iranian people, the problem is the regime, but the society itself has moved on away from Islamic ideology. But in Pakistan, the Islamic ideology, unfortunately, is widespread among the people as well. So, for the secular activists in Pakistan to be able to liberate their country, they're dealing with an obstacle that is going to take decades to overcome. But I think the Iranian people liberating themselves and secularism growing inside Iran is going to provide momentum to the youth in Pakistan. In the same way that the Islamic Republic coming into power caused Pakistan's fall into more Islamism. All of the madrasas and mosques in Pakistan after the 1979 revolution was built in response to the Islamic Republic by Saudi Arabia, and a lot of the problems we're dealing in Pakistan is caused by the Islamic Republic. I think in the same way, Iran becoming a secular democracy will provide a lot of momentum and motivation and inspiration to the secular activists, and we are going to turn Iran into a base of operations for democracy. I mean, we the people, I'm not talking about the government, we the people are going to do a lot of activism when it comes to spreading democracy and secularism in the entire region. Again, this is not the government thing, this is the people. And I think that's going to have a huge positive influence on countries like Pakistan and eventually Afghanistan as well. We need to create those bridges. All right.
Jeffrey, I saw the hand up. Are you looking to be on the list, or do you have something for now? Yeah, go ahead.
So real quick, because you guys actually, this is important with regards to the insecurity flows that come out of Pakistan. As I posted in the chat, Pakistan has nuclear weapons and they have a lesser level of what's sometimes called stockpile stewardship or accountability. Gary could definitely speak to this. So keeping that in mind, because that brought up the WMD issue in mind. Goldie, you and Armin had a person that was on your show 2 or 3 days ago that had, presented unconfirmed reports that elements within the Mullah regime have plans to leverage their chemical and biological weapons of mass destruction as a last act, a final act of scorched earth against Iranian people during the last parts of their fall. And there's also unconfirmed reports regarding a small scale use of chemical weapons against Iranians and or the Mullah regime putting chemical and biological warheads on their missiles. So there's a reason I'm asking that. Have you heard anything else besides what that person, it was like 2 or 3 days ago. Did you hear anything, any further information on that from throughout the diaspora and your contacts throughout the diaspora?
Whatever we've heard is what we've already said. If we had heard anything else, we would have spoken about it.
Yeah.
Okay, up next we have Marco.
Hi guys, I just wanted to say I love every single one of you. I hope you have my voice.
Yep.
And I love Armin. Armin is my brother. By a little bit search, I find out Goldie from the dad side is related to me. I'm Bakhtiari from Awas too. I'm the guy behind the scene. I have a couple things I want to discuss with you very quickly. I'm at work. I have my sister just
okay. When you say a couple of things, it makes me worried. Like, just remember that we have like short amount of time. Okay?
You're gonna be very happy. You're gonna be extremely happy. I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of every single one of you. We are army. We need more army, all of us. We thought we are gonna actually fight the Islamic regime, but there is a lot more forces we have to fight. So I love every single one of you to join us all the time. I just joined Armin an hour ago. My sister landed in Vancouver last night. So if you want to ask me a question about those things, I will tell you. And I have one question for you. I have a ticket for March 8th to go to Iran. Should I go? Should I not go? Thank you. Thank you, every single one of you. My daughter is on the way to come to the shop to collect some money. So I'm ready if you guys want to. Oh, somebody already said, no, don't go. Okay. I know. My daughter showed me a clip on Sunday, and she said, Baba, look, everybody's leaving the embassy. People are leaving and stuff. Please don't go. We don't want to lose you and stuff like that. So lots of people. I have
what do you mean? To go to fight? To go to fight? Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm gonna go to the fight. Just
all right.
I would honestly say, wait, Armin, can I just answer this? We're not the right people. We're not the right people to tell you what to do. You need to listen to the government travel advisory for your country and what the government travel advisory for your country is saying. Thank you.
Correct. Thank you so much.
I was going to say the same. Like, we're not going to be able to make personal decisions on your behalf. You have,
but your opinion matters to me. Anybody has an opinion.
I'm not going to give my opinion on something like that. I'm not giving my opinion on something like that. You're an adult. You have to decide for yourself. Listen to the opinion of your government travel advisory.
So we can't give you any advice regarding that. You could make that decision based on the information that you have. Okay, thank you, Marco.
Yeah, Armin, every single one of them telling me, Marco, we thought you're educated and you're a smart guy.
That's okay, Marco. Marco,
but if you want to know, My sister
No, I
came
don't know
last
when.
night and she has a lot. She told me a lot of things. If you want to know, I love to discuss that.
Okay, okay, Marco. Thank you, Marco. Let's move on to the next person.
Okay,
Thank
next
you, Marco.
is Samaray.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Hi, watching from New Zealand. I hope everyone's well. Either you or Goldie can answer this, Armin John. Many people in the West, we all probably experience this in our workplace and people we come across, see what's happening in Iran through the lens of another Middle East war, right? How can advocates effectively frame the situation as a liberation or a rescue mission in those kinds of terms while still respecting the complexity of Iranian society and avoiding the oversimplification of what's going on?
So, I mean, I would say maybe the best talking points is to just, reiterate that 1979 was an Islamic coup d'etat. It was basically foreign interference, and it was supported by Jimmy Carter, France, the UK. And you always want to make that distinction, right? Make the distinction between Jimmy Carter and the Democrats and never say Americans, because it wasn't the Americans. It was democratic foreign policy. As I've shown in various videos, Richard Nixon was actually a very good friend of the Shah, and Richard Nixon went on record to say that if he was still in power, he would have stood by his friends, because the Shah was an ally of the United States. It was the Democrats, and there's so many issues with Jimmy Carter. So that's the one thing, the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is I actually said this on Pierce Morgan. So when we're done the discussion group and we go back to over like the commentary on the Pierce Morgan episode, I basically say, don't look at this as a war. This is a liberation, right? Humanitarian intervention. And basically compare it to World War II, where the United States went in and got rid of Nazi Germany and freed Germany as well. So that's how that's I would say the best way to frame it is like that, is to and then whenever someone is like, well, we don't want Iran to turn into a failed state. Well, Iran became a failed state in 1979 when the regime took over. So we've been in that failed state situation for 47 years. We've been in that forever war for 47 years. So what's happening right now is we're correcting that mistake, and we're ending the forever war, and we're getting rid of the failed state.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you. We have a question from the chat again for Goldie. How and when did Goldie start exploring Zoroastrianism? And does she think that it can make more of a comeback in Iran or regain a presence in Afghanistan?
I think religion is a personal choice, and I'm not going to speak about that. Religion is private, and it should remain private. I mean, I'm happy to speak about geopolitics, but I mean, I think it's inappropriate to ask someone. I mean, you can ask, but I don't have to answer it. So, because religion is private, and religion ultimately, like, we're all fighting for a secular democracy, and that means respect of all religions, respect for no religion, and yeah, I don't want to talk about religion. Thank you.
Okay, another question for me to read from the chat. Western universities have been teaching propaganda against the Shah and pre-regime Iran. Has anyone found out which individual started this? Any original publications with their authors? Wondering if it's possible to find links to the IR or Russia.
The question was where did all of this all the propaganda against the Pahlavi start? Like, what was, like, are they trying to find a single source? What did it?
Within Western universities, the person is wondering if it's ever been traced back to a start.
There is no like one start. It's just like the leftists in the Marxists in Iran had like a network, like the global Marxist network has always been connected with each other, and they don't they against the what they call imperialist West, against they're against America, they're against Israel, and they're all connected, so they have their networks. And as soon as as soon as there's a new way of framing things or believing in things through their networks, everything gets distributed all around the world. So if the Marxists in Iran believe in something, like if they're advocating against the Shah, I mean, the Marxists all around the world will basically just take that in like a sponge, especially because I mean they didn't even require that much of a convincing, given that the Shah had a good relationship with Israel and United States, so that would immediately put them on their bad list. So they didn't need to be convinced that much by the Marxists in Iran. And again, you know how far leftist ideology was so common in academia, and therefore they had so much influence over publication think tanks. You're not going to put like your finger on a specific person or a specific event. I mean, we did have that regarding the entrance of the Muslim Brotherhood ideology inside Iran. Sometimes it's a case that you can put your finger upon on one person, like for example Navab Safavi. But when it comes to what you're asking, no, there is no single person. It's just more of a network rather than specific individuals or specific events.
Next, we have Shai.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Goldie. I totally understand how you're being treated in Canada because I I went through high school, university in Canada, and I know exactly what you went through. I want to tell you that you're a rising star, and I hopefully you become something like I don't know what president or something, prime minister, huge politician in Iran. I think with this Iranian alliance with Israel. I'm a refugee to Israel from Canada, right? I went back to Israel. I'm from Israel, went to Canada, back to Israel. And I'm feeling like there's finally a political movement that I feel like I'm a part of here. Iran Israel alliance. That's what it is. With some Americans, like I would say the person across the table from Tucker, that would be the milieu. And I think that's the alliance that we're forming here, a global network,